Obviously, we got Albany this week, and I think they present a very interesting challenge for our football team. They're a team that was in the playoffs last year, and that's obviously a place that we aspire to be. And they're going to come in here 2-0, have a lot of confidence. Have played very well in all three phases of the game thus far, and they're going to come in here excited to play Youngstown State, and I think we're going to get a great effort from them. Offensively, they like to run the football. They do run some similar schemes that we run here on offense, so there will be some carryover there for our defense. And I think it starts with Smith. They're averaging about 250 yards a game rushing, so they like to run the ball. Offensive line plays with tight splits. Big guys up front like to push you around, and I think it's going to be a deal where we've got to win the line of scrimmage, and the team wins the line of scrimmage usually has a chance to win the game. Defensively, I think the thing that's glaring when you watch them on defense is they don't give up big plays. They're very well coached. Coach Ford, I believe, is going into his 40th year, and that's very impressive, especially in this day and age with coaching and all the turnover and impatient fans and everything else. So that's a compliment to him. And special teams wise, they had 2 blocks in the Colgate game. Last year they had 3 blocks on the year. They like to block the punt, and I expect them to line up and try to come after us and test our protection and see if we can hold up. But it'll be an exciting day here. Obviously having them in town, 2 undefeated teams, playoff team being here, and I think we got to do a better job of being louder on 3rd down. We got to get our crowd into the game. And on 3rd down, we need to hear some noise and make this the ice castle that it once was.
Is their run defense the strength of their defense? I mean, they've only given up 100 yards.
Yeah, and I think they get good practice at it every day against their offense. You look at what they do offensively. They're going to run the ball. So obviously, all during camp, all during spring ball, they get a lot of reps at stopping the run, and I'm sure they have a lot of confidence in their ability to line up and stop the run.
There's a couple guys who stand out.
I think that the thing that stands out to me is their defensive line. On paper, the weights don't match what I see on film. So sometimes coaches will knock a guy down 15 or 20 pounds. I'm not going to be able to have a scale out there by any means, but those guys look bigger than the weights that are on paper. And they got 2 returning linebackers inside that obviously shore things up front for them there in the front end.
Coach, can you touch on Dale Peterman's progression from as he's entered the program? Last year he said he was taking mental reps, and now from camp and now to now he's been very effective on the field. Can you just talk about his progression?
Yeah, he's been a work in progress. Obviously he had to sit out last year and just go to school, and he did that and did well. His first game he had some good statistics, but really was very rusty. I think we're just scratching the surface with this guy. I really do. He has a chance to be a special player. With Dale, I think it's been a maturing process for him. He has grown up a lot. I don't know how much he told you, but him and I have had some very interesting conversations when he was in high school, and they were not in this tone of voice. And he knows that he needed to grow up. He needed to get his priorities straight. He needed to be accountable. He needed to do things right, and he's doing that now. And we're just continuing to try to get him to understand that you have to eliminate the distractions in your life. You have all kinds of distractions, and you have to eliminate those and keep your eye on the prize. And obviously that's going to school, taking care of your body. Your body's your business, and staying focused so you can play one play at a time.
And then on the offensive line, can you just touch on them as a unit? And I know you don't like to give them too much praise. They always got to work, but what do you like that you've seen out of them, and then what do they need to improve on?
I think offensive line-wise, from where we were from day one to now, it's a compliment to those guys. They've worked hard. They've started to invest more than they ever have in their life. I think in the past maybe they just played offensive line on Saturday and then were just everyday guys the rest of the week. And I see a different attention to detail on their part. I see them train their bodies. I see them eat right. I see them becoming students of the game, and physically we've changed. You can see that we've changed. That's a compliment to Mike Cochran again. That's a compliment to them. It's a compliment to Coach Priscillo, and you get what you emphasize. You know, as excited as I am about those guys and their progress, I still think we have much more out there. They could be very special, and we're not going to let up until they are a very special unit. And you know, they've got to set the example for the guys behind them. As excited as I get about their progress, I'm probably just as excited about the young guys we brought into our program. You know, Brock Eisenhuth, Dylan Colucci, Dana Harris. I mean, Dana Harris is 19 years old. Looks like he weighs 250, but he's 300 pounds. You know, and then you got Christian Wilson over there. I mean, those guys are going to have a chance in 1 year to be the heir apparents, along with Andrew Cinco and Herdman, those guys, Stephen Page, those guys' progress. So now we can get to a point in our program where we don't miss a beat. We continue to upgrade our level of talent as we continue to recruit for the future.
Eric, with that being said, how many pieces to your puzzle are in place? And do you have all the pieces? You just got to find the right spot for them?
This guy's signed about 25 or 30 more every year. You know, I mean, what happens is this day and age, you see it all over the country. These kids, if they don't play as a freshman or sophomore, what do? They transfer. You know, and that's, I mean, we're going to keep just loading the boat. We're going to keep loading it up, and you know, the cream will rise to the top. Competition makes you better, you know, and that's something that we got to continue to do, because kids today don't have the mentality, well, I'm not ready to play yet, I need to wait a year or two and get myself physically ready to play. I mean, there's not too many guys that stick around and do that. They just want to pick up and leave. When things don't go their way in our society today, people just quit or get a divorce or move on. I mean, that's the easy way out. You know, no one wants to fight through things and push and work hard and see the results of hard work. Everyone wants a quick fix, and that is just to pick up and leave, take my ball and go play somewhere else. And you know, that's part of the society we live in today. So in order to be prepared for that, you have to continue to load the boat. So we'll never have enough. We will never have enough players.
You got a lot of players in the game on Saturday. How much is that going to help you Saturday and down the road?
I think it'll help in the future. You know, it was exciting to get Pat Angle in there. That's the first time Pat Angle's throwing football in a game. You know, and Pat Angle was a very talented football player. It was good to get him in. Dante Angle, we got him in the ball game. And obviously, you know, we got all our backs and reps there, so our offensive linemen, young defensive linemen, young linebackers really, and backup corners there, safety. So it was good. It was good in a lot of ways, and you know, that's part of the process, because you know, injuries do happen, and you're always one play away from, you know, being ready to play in a game. And if one guy goes down, or let's say Kurt Hess's helmet pops off, we're just going to wave a white flag and say, well, we'll just skip this next play and then bring him back in. And we're going to still play the next play, and we're going to expect to execute our offense.
You're probably going to yell at me, but you haven't turned the ball over yet.
Like always, you know, you're jinxed me for everything.
But what do you attribute that to?
I mean, I think, what do you emphasize? Our players will tell you every day since I've been here, we believe in ball security. We do ball security drills every day. And people don't understand that that ball is gold, and we're going to take care of the football. And that's, you get what you emphasize.
What is the biggest change you've seen in the defense from when you got here to last year and even through 2 games this year?
You know, I think the first thing you probably have to start with is leadership. I think that starts with Joe Tracy. Obviously, Joe has tremendous passion for the game of football. That's very glaring if you've been to practice or a game. And that, you know, you have to always start with leadership. And Joe brings that. We're definitely more accountable than we ever have been. And I think we've significantly improved our level of talent in the secondary. You know, Julius Childs is South Central Los Angeles. He's got 3 years, you know, he's only a sophomore. I mean, that kid has a chance to be a dynamic player. Dell Peterman, brand new. And you got Jeremy Edwards, starting to understand the way he's supposed to play. You got Donald DeLisio, you got Twin Fernandez, and then you got Chris Charles back there, and then you got Josh Garner. But I think our level of play in the secondary is much improved, and our overall effort and our ability to run to the football. I mean, you know, we can run. We can run to the football, and when you run to the football, good things happen.
Coming off first shutout of your career as head coach here, what did that do for their confidence?
You know, I don't know that they're necessarily caught up in that by any means. You know, we've never really been a stats type, you know, team. Like when every week on Monday I come in there and talk about the players of the week and that, I never mention a statistic. You know, if we were worried about trying to get Kurt Hess or Jermaine Cook the Walter Payton Award, we could have left them in the game. You know, this is a team game, and we win and lose as a team. And the better team we are, the better our chances of winning. So we never ever recognize individual statistics in any situation, because I don't ever want to promote individualism. You know, I think when you're losing and things aren't going well, individualism creeps into your program, and that's some people's way of kind of like having a saving grace that, you know, yeah, we didn't win this week, but I had 150 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. That's your way of justifying that, you know, our team's not very good, but I'm still good. You know, we win and lose as a team, and we're not worried about individual accolades or statistics.
And that being said, I mean, shutouts are kind of a team statistic. I mean, it's got to be one that you kind of like.
It's not a big deal. You know, the biggest statistic, if you're going to talk about one, is the win and loss. Whether we're singing that fight song at the end of the day in our locker room.
What do you think your biggest weakness is right now?
Biggest weakness probably is eating ice cream late at night when I get home. But really,
How about as a team?
my wife tells me all the time that that's not good for me. It's called stress. Really, I think just overall, we want to continue to execute better on third down. You know, we didn't do as well last week as we wanted to on third down, specifically offensively. In the first game, we felt like we could have been better on third down on offense, and we definitely felt like we could have been better on defense on third and medium, third and long. You know, I know 100% is probably not realistic, but we practice third down a lot around here, and we need to be good at it.
And what flavor ice cream?
Handles Graham Central Station.
If it's possible, how do you compare the relative talent levels of Valparaiso and Albany?
I would say Albany is significantly better. I think Valparaiso is still in the building stages of a program. I think they did improve, but they are in the building stages still yet. Whereas I feel like Albany is more of an established program. You know, they had lost 5 or 6 starters, depending on either side of the ball you're talking about, from last year. But they're kind of in a position where they have some depth, where they're able to somewhat just go ahead and reload. You know, they're probably got a really good chance again in their conference to win it and go to the playoffs again. You know, and that's a compliment to their coaching staff and the stability that they've had there at Albany.
I know you've been grinding into 1-0 every week. Don't look ahead, but nature says conference a week away. How are you sure that they're not looking ahead? How do you get a good pulse on that?
Well, if we want to be in the playoffs, this is a playoff team. They're coming to town at our place. You know, that's that simple. And they're a very good football team. They're very well coached, and they've been somewhere where we haven't. You know, the last 5 years, we haven't been to the playoffs. They have been. So it's a great opportunity for us to go out and play a good football team and see where we are.
Coach, can you talk about maybe how important the off-season conditioning, Coach Cochran, how that weighs into a game where it's a tight game?
I think it's clearly showed up specifically in the first game. You know, having the Watts, I think a lot of people really maybe underestimate the value of that building. You know, if you look back at Northern Iowa's success. North Dakota State's, I mean, North Dakota State's won a whole bunch of championships. They just moved up to 1A, 1AA, or FCS here recently. But, you know, that when you have an indoor that you can train in year round and run routes and lift and run and work on speed training, you saw the difference in our team this year. And we used it for what, 3 months, 4 months? Imagine having that in a program that's been there 5, 10 years. And there's a reason why when I got in this league, I did some research, and Northern Iowa had 9 guys sign NFL contracts. You know, we had 1, you know, or at that time none. You know, I mean, there was a significant difference. And it's not that Northern Iowa maybe is recruiting NFL type players right out of high school, but they're developing them. And that's what Mike Cochran, I mean, Mike Cochran, since the day he got here, I wish I had him from day one, but he has made a difference in our development. That's why, you know, when he works with these younger players, those younger linemen I talked about, I said, Mike, I want these guys to be ready to breathe fire next year. I mean, I want these guys to be ready to go. I want them to step in and not miss a beat. I want them to be more powerful, faster, and stronger than we are this year. And he says, it'll be done, you know. So that's part of having an indoor, that you can train year round and have a foundation and have a blueprint to get guys in your program, develop them, and play them when they're ready.
You've been high on this topic since you came here, but have you noticed a difference even the last couple of years of the talent level going up? I mean, it seems like just looking at scores.
As far as what?
The conference, just talent level going up in the last, just since you've been here.
You know, talent-wise, I definitely think the talent has picked up, but I think the coaching, I think there's a lot of really good coaches in our league right now, you know. Very creative, obviously doing a good job recruiting. I think they also, for maybe some of the guys that may not have as much talent, know how to utilize the players that they have. And, you know, that's a big part of this game too. You know, if you don't have an offense that can line up and go with 2 tight ends and 2 backs and pound you, then why do that? You know, spread them out and play the game. You got to do what you can do. But I think the players definitely are obviously better than when I first got in here. But I think that you can't deny the coaching. There's a lot of really good football coaches, and they do a good job. And I feel like I have, you know, a legitimate expertise as far as being around a lot of really good coaches. It's not like I've been one place my whole life. I've been around a lot of great coaches and a lot of great conferences. And I see these guys utilize what they have on game day and play and execute at a high level.
Coach, you mentioned when you started talking about Albany's offense, you mentioned Drew Smith. Can you elaborate a little bit on what makes him good, the challenges that he poses for you as an individual?
Well, he's obviously 215 pounds, and he's a senior. They're creative as far as running the zone read play, which obviously makes you very accountable. And they do some stuff with some motions and different receivers and shifts and arcing tight ends and blocking tight ends down, and then sometimes arcing, that you have got to be assignment sound. You got to be great with your eyes. And we know that it's just a matter of time that the play action part of all those things come into play, which obviously with all those quick motions and shifts by the receivers, that you got to really have great eye control in the secondary specifically.
Coach, you and your guys talk about the 24-hour rule a lot. Why is that so important?
Well, I think you know, when you're obviously looking back from day one here, I think it's important that when you're building a program that you have the ability to put the past behind you, as far as whether it was a success or obviously a defeat. And that's part of that process. You know, Lou Holtz once said that, you know, you just got to try to, in your early stages of your career, just try to be competitive. and then you got to try to build a play close. Then to take the next step, you got to be able to try to win those close games. You know, so knowing that that's all part of the process, I don't necessarily believe that you as a coach can put all your eggs in one basket. You know, because what happens if you don't go out and play well? You know, what happens if you put all your eggs in one basket? Michigan State last year, and you know your team is completely in the tank. I think you treat every game the same, and by saying that, you have to be able to dismiss it the same too and move on. It's like a corner. If he gets beat on a play, he's got to have short. I mean, he's got to move on to the next play. You can't let one play affect the next play because you'll be a play behind the rest of the game. And that's kind of the environment that we live in, really, as coaches and players.
Is that a rule that you've picked up maybe at other coaching stops before you got here?
Not really. It's just something that I've kind of always lived by. I don't remember ever working with anyone that ever said we have a 24-hour rule. It was more just something that I believe in, because there's been a lot of times in my coaching career where I've been at places. You know, I haven't been one of those guys that's always had the best job or the best players. I've had some great jobs and great places to coach, but there was always 4 or 5 teams in the league we played in that were way better than us. So with that being said, I had to learn at a young age as a position coach to be able to pick my players right back up after the next game. I mean, when you go play Alabama, it's not a good feeling, okay? Just so you know. I mean, you feel like your big brother's holding you underwater. You ever had that happen? It's not a good feeling. It's a very bad feeling. But you have to be able to pick your players back up the next week because you got to go play Florida, you know, and they got Tim Tebow. So my point is you have to be able to, you know, pick your players right back up. So you have to be able to have that ability just to dismiss it or flush it, as I say.
You also have to have the ability to celebrate and not move on too quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to enjoy, you know, the success, but I'd rather do that at the end of the year when it's final.